Here is the part that is causing that 54.2 error in any HP printer. I'll show you how to get access to this part and fix the problem. So here I have with me the HP M177FW printer, and the issue with this is the error 54.2 error is asking me to shut down the printer and start again. So I'll show you how to fix the problem. The first thing is you're going to turn to the back of the printer and then remove the screw on the right side cover. So I'm going to remove the right side cover this way so that I can access the part. Here you can see the parts right here. This is the parts that we're going to be working on. That is what is causing that error. So I'll show you what to do. So is it that the part is misaligned or something is broken there? But most of the time it's just that that part is misaligned. It's actually a gear. Remove this screw that is holding the parts down. It's just one screw. And then with my flathead screwdriver, I'm going to compress this end here. You see this tip here? Don't try to force it too much so that you don't get to break any of the plastic. To remove this, take note of this. There's this part here that you need to compress with your screwdriver. You can see this part here. It keys inside, so if you want to, after removing the screw and you want to bring it out, just get a flathead screwdriver and compress it down a bit so that it will be able to come out easily. Now for this, what causes this problem is the gear here. You can see that is a gear here. So this gear here is supposed to be aligned with the other white gear on the printer itself. There is a white gear on the printer that this is supposed to be connected to. When this is not connected to this white gear here, there's a white gear here. I'm going to show you. I'll tilt the printer up a bit so that you see what I mean. So that you see the gear I'm talking about. When this is not aligned to that white gear and the printer begins to spin, it will not be able to spin this particular device because there is a sensor on this device. Once the white gear spins, it's supposed to spin together with the black gear on this device so that the sensor will be activated. But when that doesn't happen, it will tell the logic board of the printer that something is wrong with the printer, and it will come up with that error 54.2. So this has to be aligned properly with the gear here. That is where the problem is. So I'll show you the white gear I'm talking about now. So I'm going to tilt this up a bit so that you see. Now here is the white gear I'm talking about. This black gear is supposed to be aligned. This gear here, you can see the teeth of this gear here is supposed to spin when the white gear on the printer spin also. You can see the white gear is supposed to spin together because they're supposed to be aligned together so that when they begin to spin, they spin together, and when they spin together, the sensor on this device will dictate that the gear is spinning, and it will allow you print out your document. But once this is not spinning and your printer is on, the printer is going to give the printer a false alarm that something is wrong with the printer, so it's going to come up with that error 54.2. You can see the way this spins. That is the way it's supposed to spin each time you initialize the printer. So once you try to initialize the printer or try to print any document and this part doesn't spin this way, it is going to give you that error. Actually, you can see this other end of this gear that that looks as if it's that end that is missing on this circle. You can see there's an end on the circle that is missing. This end of this circle that is missing here is supposed to pass through the sensor. That is a sensor here. Look, you see a sensor inside of this place. So when this spin, it will pass through that sensor and it will complete a circle, because the sensor is going to dictate that missing part of that circle. Once it dictates that missing part of the circle, it will know that the circle is complete and everything is fine with the printer, and it will allow you to print whatever you want to print or initialize. All right, so this will be aligned to the white black gear. That is what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to fix it back this way so that this white gear and the black gear will spin together, and this sensor would dictate this other black gear once it spins and rolls under the sensor. There is a sensor under. I will show you when I begin to clean the sensor. So this will roll under it this way, and it will dictate that something is wrong there. Alright, so there's a sensor lodged here inside this area. So another thing is this. Sometimes there can be paper particle, dust particle, toner particles that is blocking the sensor. So what we are going to do is to get a piece of cloth like this, a lid-free cloth. Don't make use of a tissue paper, because tissue paper tend to leave particles behind after cleaning. We don't want any particle blocking the sensor area. So I'm going to, with the tip of my screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, I will clean that sensor area, just to ensure that there is nothing, no debris, no dust, particle, piece of paper, toner particles that is blocking that sensor area from dictating the gears when they begin to spin through the sensor. Okay, so I'm going to push you can see the dirt here. I'm going to push the cloth a bit inside, in between the sensor area where the gears will have to pass through, and clean it out generally. But be very careful when cleaning this so that you don't get to damage the sensor. So I'm going to clean generally and remove any particles here. Alright, so I have been able to clean this. What I'm going to do is to insert this back and align it properly. Remember, this other flat end of this has to go into this flat end. That is how it is positioned. While this other little round edge will go into this little round hole here. While this other part here will go into this area here. So once you position it that way, you're sure that it will align directly with the gear, because that is the way it is designed to be positioned naturally. So I'm going to align it that way, then screw it back. Remember, I'm going to show you what to do again. This part has to go into this area. Why this other flat part, there's a slot for it here. This other round part, there's a slot for it here. Why the long black part here will go inside this hole. Okay, and this other part here will go inside this hole here. Ensure that this spins freely and push it in a bit. The reason why I'm showing you again is because sometimes it can be a bit tricky, especially if you're fixing it for the very first time, to seem as if it didn't fit in. It's just because it has not keyed in properly into their different slots. Alright, so I fixed this. I am going to now test the printer and see. Alright, you can see that the printer is now ready to use and it's not showing me that error again, so I'm going to do a copy here. Thank you for watching. I'll see you some other time.